If you've ever tried color analysis, finding your Kibbe body type, making a Pinterest board, or doing one of those style quizzes, and you're still feeling confused about your personal style, this video is for you. I've ranked 33 different style systems and methods based on how useful they are in finding your personal style, so you will know exactly what's worth it and what isn't by the end of this video. And let's just say, some of the rankings may surprise you. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, you might be wondering, how did I come up with the 33 different systems and what are they? So I just wanted to give you a very quick overview of the two different kinds of style systems and methods that I have identified. So the first group is anything that's related to your personality, visual preferences, what you want to buy, what you're drawn to. So anything that has to do with you as a person. And then the second type of methods is anything that is related to your body, what you should or shouldn't be wearing, and is a little bit more objective or rule-based. So this video is going to include a mix of both types of systems, but the caveat is that I have only included methods and ways that I have personally tried myself. So you might not find every single system under the sun, so please let me know in the comments if there is anything that I've missed that you found particularly helpful. But I wanted to give you something that I have personal experience working with rather than just some theory. And to help me with the ranking, I have created a 5-tier system, and we're going to use those 5 categories. So the top one is called the game changer, and these are methods that I think are easy to use by anyone and have made the most impact in my own personal style journey. Next, we have the it's worth it category, and for me, these are methods that require some investment of time or money, but if you're willing to do that, you're going to get really good results. The next category is called overthinking fuel, and it is for all of those style systems that can leave you confused rather than having clarity. But at the same time, I've put in here anything that if you find the right kind of answer for yourself, they can still be useful in navigating your personal style. The next group is called fun, but what next? And this is for any sort of experiments and methods that perhaps are really fun to explore, but don't actually give you clear guidance on how to find your personal style. And last but not least, we have my favorite category, and that is the it's a trap category. So I've put in here any methods or tools that I think are more harmful rather than helpful. So now that you know what to expect, let's dive straight into it. So let's first start with the 3-word method, and this is created by Alison Bornstein. So the 3-word method is basically choosing 3 different words to guide your outfit creation and your style, and I have an entire video about how you do it. So I really like this method because it's good for both beginners and more advanced people. And I think it provides a really strong direction in how to fix your outfit, because you just ask yourself what is missing, which of those 3 words am I missing in the outfit. Now, the only caveat I would say in here is that it does require a bit of introspection, and you might find that you start with a set of words and then you refine them as time goes on. But once you have your words, I think it is a really useful tool. And so for me, this goes into the game changer because it is one of those tools that I think anyone can use, and it's a very quick and simple one. The next one is making a Pinterest board. And this is something that I am sure most of you have done in one point of your life, just pinning different outfits that inspire you in some way, shape, or form. Now, it can be really fun to do that, and I definitely encourage exploration, especially if you're still trying to find your personal style, because what you're drawn to can reveal different things about your style. However, I find that just the process of collecting images without any analysis, any refinement, is not actually that useful. And so that's why for me, I would put it in fun, but what's next? It does require next steps after it. The next one is something that I discovered in Kibbe's Power of Style, the book that he published this year, and I made an entire video about it because I thought that the Kibbe Dream Board is actually really, really powerful. And in a way, it is quite similar to the Pinterest board because you still collect images that you're drawn to, but Kibbe actually gives you directions about specific things, and it's not just about clothes. It's actually about different elements of nature that you're drawn to. And so in that way, I think it is a deeper reflection tool, and it also kind of reveals that emotional connection. Now, the only downside I would say is that it does take maybe an hour to actually collect the images and also the reflection piece. And if you want to know what questions you can ask, watch this video right here. But I would definitely say this one is worth the time investment. The next one is something that I made a video quite recently about, and that is the analyzing bad outfits method. Because it's basically just taking photos of your outfits and especially identifying some of the outfits that weren't terrible but wasn't a great success, and asking yourself what didn't work working here. So you can do that together with the 3-word method, but you can just see what is happening in this outfit. Maybe it's the proportion, maybe it's the colors, maybe it's how things are put together. And so when it comes to finding your style, this is actually a really helpful tool. The only thing is that it does require a certain level of maybe honesty with yourself, and it can feel a bit uncomfortable to kind of look at your photos and analyze what went wrong with the different outfits. But if you do it, I think that it is actually really, really worth it. And again, if you want to see me actually do it and how I refined my personal style, watch this video right here. Now, the next thing is something I've seen become a lot more popular in recent years, and that is shopping your closet, and especially recreating outfits from Pinterest using things you already own. Now, I think this is a great way to get inspiration, especially for pieces that you have and maybe feel a bit bored or unsure how to style. Now, the other thing I like is that oftentimes we like a certain thing visually, but when we put it on ourselves, it can help us to see, do we actually like this or do we need to tweak it in some way? And so again, it can teach you a bit more about what you enjoy in your personal style. The only downside I can see to this method is if you find images that are very, very different from the pieces that you already have, it can definitely prompt shopping and not really give you the right direction. So I think that I'll put this one in the it's worth it category. And if you want to know how to actually recreate outfits and you want to see me recreate 4 of my favorite outfits, check out this video right here. Now, the second method to use Pinterest looks is actually to do a little bit more of an analysis. And so what I mean in here is taking the outfit from Pinterest, but rather than just copy pasting, trying to recreate it, asking yourself what you're actually drawn to, because you might be drawn to the color or you might be drawn to the contrast of textures rather than specific pieces. And so asking yourself this kind of deeper, maybe a little bit broader question is actually going to help you to learn about your personal style. And something that I taught in this video in here is to actually take the look and think about if you were to recreate it, like if you had all the budget in the world, would you just copy paste it, or would you actually maybe change the shoes or change the top because maybe it's a bit too revealing or too uncomfortable, or maybe you don't like wearing heels in your day-to-day life. Sort of what changes would you make to make this realistic for your life right now? And so I think that this is a little bit more time consuming than just recreating the outfit, but it can teach you a lot more about the style that you can actually wear right now. And so that's why, again, I would put this one in the it's worth it category, because it definitely takes a bit longer, but it's a really, really useful tool. Next, we have style uniforms. And this is something that a lot of people have made videos about, and it's basically identifying formulas or ways that you can actually dress up in certain pieces. So from experience, style uniforms can really speed up your dressing, because once you figure out how to wear a certain type of piece, it's very easy to just modify the top or modify the bottom and then create the same look, but it still looks different. So I think I'll put this one in the it's worth it, because again, once you identify it, it's really helpful, but it does take a little bit of effort. The next one is something that if you found my channel through one of those videos, you know that I track my outfits using an app called Index, but you can track your outfits in a variety of different ways. But regardless of how you choose to track your outfits, it's, in my opinion, one of the best methods to learn more about yourself, what you gravitate towards, the cost per wear of certain pieces, and what your personal style actually is. Because it is not necessarily something that we aspire to wear, but it's much more about what we actually wear on a day-to-day basis. So the only thing that I would say in here is that if you track your outfits for a week, you probably won't learn that much, versus if you're tracking your outfits for a month or 2 months or a year like I have, I think it's going to reveal so much about what you like, what you don't like, maybe gaps in your wardrobe as well, or hidden heroes that you didn't expect. And if you want to learn more about my lessons from tracking my outfits for a year, I share them in this video right here. So I think that this method is definitely worth the investment, but I come with a caveat that it does take a significant amount of time to start spotting those patterns and using the data. Okay, next one we have something maybe a bit controversial, but color analysis. Now, regardless whether you use the 12-season method, 16-season method, or something different, color analysis has been a huge topic in the past 2-3 years online. And I actually did my color analysis about 2 years ago. I talked about it in this video right here, where I walked you through the entire process of my color analysis. And I would say that for me personally, finding your best colors is a game changer. I'm going to say that there are a few caveats in here because sometimes people become really obsessed. So it can definitely fall into the overthinking fuel category if you're trying to do it by yourself. So this is the one where I would say go to a specialist, someone that you trust. I had to save up a little bit to do my analysis with Color Analysis Studio, but it's really been worth it for me because I no longer overthink like whether this color or that color suits me. And I have found so many beautiful colors that actually suit me really well. So for example, when I'm speaking on camera, filming videos, presenting in front of people, I can wear my best colors and feel really, really good. And so for me, it's definitely not felt restrictive or anything like that. So I think that if you're looking to make better buying decisions and just speed up your shopping and just up your confidence really because you look good most of the time, I think that color analysis, when done professionally and done well, it can be a game changer for your personal style. So the next one is something that if you've been reading magazines or browsing BuzzFeed and stuff like that, you must have come across style quizzes. And those I would say are quite fun. But the problem I have found with style quizzes is that there's usually 4, 5, 10 buckets maybe where they're going to place you. And so if you're trying to find your personal style, you'll oftentimes be given, you're the romantic style, or you're the dramatic and romantic. And you're like, but what does that mean, right? Like, what do I do next? And what's more, through working with numerous clients and in my own journey, I've realized that most people have a blend of different styles that creates their own unique mix, but you won't find that in a quiz because it's very individual, right? And they can't do that because it's kind of on a mass scale. And so for me, I would say that style quizzes are fun, but they don't really give you practical guidance about what you do next. And I wouldn't say they are particularly accurate either. The next one is something that is relatively new, and that is using AI to help you find your personal style. So for example, I had uploaded a couple of photos and then I told a bit more about what I like about this outfit or what I didn't like about a certain outfit. And then I asked it to tell me a bit more about my style. So in that way, it can help you to spot some patterns and things that maybe you haven't actually come across before. But I've had to remind myself that ChatGPT and all of those are large language models. So they're based on predictions of the next word. It's not an actual thinking being in there that is analyzing your style. And so you're never going to get absolute precision when it comes to what your style truly is, because ChatGPT doesn't do nuance that maybe a human can pick up on. So for that reason, I would put it as fun, but what next? It's not bad, but it's definitely something that requires follow-up because it won't teach you about your personal style and how to dress better. Oh, and by the way, if you're finding this video useful so far, can you please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so I can continue to make style videos for you. Now, let's go back into the ranking. Next, we have style challenges. And in here, I'm talking about the 10 by 10 challenge, only wearing colorful clothes, styling your least worn items, styling your most worn items, letting AI dress you. And especially if you're feeling a bit uninspired or maybe a bit bored, I think this is a great way to just reignite that spark and that passion in your wardrobe. And I have personally done a 10 by 10 challenge a couple of years ago. And even last year on the channel, I did a really cool video about styling my least worn items. And I came up with 2 different outfits that I absolutely loved. And I have worn a few times since then. So it can be a great way to just uncover maybe outfits that were sitting in your wardrobe, but you hadn't really thought of. So my caveat in here is that if you're just doing, let's say, a 10 by 10 challenge, but you don't sit down and actually reflect on what you've learned, it can be a fun exercise, but nothing beyond that. And so that's why on their own, style challenges, I would actually put in fun, but what's next? And I think that if you do the reflection, they'll probably move into the it's worth it category. Next, we have something that we have all done at one point in time, and that is decluttering your wardrobe. So it's basically removing pieces from your wardrobe in a way to learn more about your personal style. And because there is so many different methods, like the Marie Kondo method, or if you haven't worn it in 6 months or 12 months, you have to toss this. There's so many different methods, right? And I think that it can lead to a lot of paralysis and kind of fear of doing it wrong and getting rid of pieces in the wrong way. I also think that sometimes asking the question, does this spark joy, may not lead you to making the best decisions, because I have my basic black merino that doesn't really spark joy in me, but I've worn it 20 times in the winter because I needed that warm layer. Same thing with my gym leggings, sneakers, things like that, that I just wear because they're practical purchases. They don't really spark joy, but they're actually necessary. And so if I was just following the Marie Kondo method, for example, I'll have got rid of all of those practical pieces. Same thing with some of the pieces that are very, very summery. Last year in the UK, it never really got above 24-5 degrees. And so some of my very, very summery pieces that I love, I couldn't really wear because it was just never warm enough. So again, if you look at my stats, I haven't worn this thing for a year, but it doesn't mean that I should be decluttering it, right? Because I still love it, it still fits me. And so I think that decluttering, just following those rules, can lead to a lot of bad decisions and then regrets or feeling of guilt because you're getting rid of something and you should have worn it. So personally, I think that the only way to do decluttering is to do it more mindfully and slowly, and asking yourself, why am I actually decluttering this? And you can find patterns. Again, it can be something like, I never wear solid color pieces, I only like pattern tops. And that can be a useful lesson, right? So I think that I would put this in the overthinking fuel, because most of the time it leads people to overthinking and decision paralysis. But if you take the time to do it more mindfully, it can be very helpful. Okay, next we have the Style Routes system by Ellie Jean Royden, and I know a lot of you that are here on this channel have actually found me through the Style Routes video. So the Style Routes system is basically 8 different style preferences. It's definitely based more on personality and visual preferences, and because of that, it allows you to explore what you're drawn to, what you like, rather than what someone says suits your body type or facial structure or something else. Now, I have seen though that a lot of people get really confused with the Style Routes system because some things overlap. Sometimes people have more than 3 style routes that they use consistently, and especially if you're someone that maybe has a bit more of a varied style, you might find that 3 routes are not actually enough to describe your style. And so I think that this one, I'm not sure whether to put it in overthinking fuel or it's worth it, because like if you find your style routes and you have 3, it can be very helpful and very easy to again diagnose your outfits and fix them. I would put it in it's worth it, again with the caveat that it does take a bit of time to maybe play with different combinations and find it, but it's kind of in between. So the next one is my style needs system, and I wasn't 100% sure whether I should include it or not, but a lot of you have told me that you have found the idea of style spectrums more useful than just separate style routes, so I wanted to include it as a way to find your personal style. And so basically with the style needs, you're asking yourself which of those style needs you need to have fulfilled in your outfits. So do you want to feel classic and timeless? Do you want to feel more casual and relaxed? Do you want to feel more feminine or self-expressive? And of course, you can have any number of style needs and any combination of those style needs. And I think that once you figure out which of those are your primary or secondary style need, it will really, really help you to figure out how to create outfits. So if you want to learn more about that, I have this quiz that a lot of people have found helpful for clarifying the style routes and style needs. But I think that as an idea, for me personally, it has been a game changer, because I can ask myself, is this outfit not polished enough? Or is this outfit lacking the self-expression? And so oftentimes when I'm not happy with my outfits, it's because they're not fulfilling 1 or 2 of my style needs. The next method is doing a no-buy challenge, and that basically means not buying any clothes, shoes, accessories for a specific amount of time. Now, whether you do that for a month, 3 months, 6 months, or like I did it for an entire year in 2019, this method is a really great way, I think, for finding your personal style. Because firstly, you're going to start seeing how often you actually lean towards shopping when you're maybe bored or unhappy or just want to be distracted in some way. And so I feel like it's a really great tool to just change your life in some way, shape or form. And it definitely helped me to recognize that I wasn't happy with my career. And that is why I was actually shopping so much. So beyond just kind of the personal growth that you might experience, I think doing a no-buy challenge actually allows you to make use of the clothes you already have. Another thing that I've seen from some creators that have done a no-buy for maybe 6 months or a year is actually that it improves the relationship to your body. Because every time we go shopping, we are doing the whole changing room act, and it's not always the most flattering or fun experience. Versus if you're not really trying any new clothes and you're just working with what is already in your wardrobe, what you already fits you and works for you, it can help you to start feeling more and more comfortable in your own skin. So because of all of that, I think that the no buy can actually help you reflect on what your personal style actually is and clarify certain style needs that you might have. So the only thing I would say is that if you're someone that is very used to shopping, you have to find an alternative way to spend your time. So whether that is recreating outfits from Pinterest, doing something creative, cooking, going for a run, anything to actually occupy that time, because that urge to shop can be very strong. And so a lot of people I know struggle or fail during this no buy challenge. So I would say this one probably put in the game changer category, but I feel like you have to be comfortable with the fact that it's probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable. The next one is kind of a variation of the no buy, and it's actually doing a low buy, where you basically set yourself a limit on how many things you want to buy during that year. And so I feel like because it is so individual, it is a bit more flexible to what you need. And so for a lot of people, it feels less restrictive and so a little bit more doable. I think that if you, for example, have 5 pieces that you're allowing yourself to buy this year, it can actually make you a bit more mindful about gaps you might have in your wardrobe. So you can plan for that and then get the pieces that will actually improve your personal style. Now, the only thing that I see as a problem with low buys, and I have watched a few creators who are on a low buy right now, is that what happens if you find 2 of the 5 pieces in January? A lot of the time it can lead to second guessing yourself, doubting, maybe feeling guilty for sort of spending your credits very early on in the challenge. And so I think in that way it can lead people to a little bit of overthinking. And so that's why I would put this one in overthinking fuel, even though it is a really useful tool. The next system is something that I haven't yet made a video, but I definitely will very soon. And that is the Style Key system by Rita. So if you haven't come across this, it's a really interesting system that looks into how you create your outfits and whether you're trying to harmonize a bit more with your environment or whether you focus a lot more on self-expression and just dressing for yourself. And then whether you focus more on how the outfit feels versus how the outfit looks. So you have those 2 axes, and what is really interesting is that the Style Key doesn't give you outfit formulas or you have to dress in this way. It doesn't tell you literally any recommendations about the types of items that you should buy, because it is so much more based on psychology and on yourself, kind of your own inner feeling. So whatever makes you, for example, feel excited, that is what you should wear if you're leaning left. Or whatever makes you feel appropriate for the environment is what you should wear if you're leaning right. And so I feel like this system is very freeing for a lot of people, but I know that for myself, I've typed myself in all 4 of the quadrants at different points in time, and I know a lot of people find the system quite confusing. So this one, I would say, requires perhaps consultation with Rita and just like talking to her, and she can then type you where she sees you in that system. I would say personally, I haven't yet been able to fully decide whether I'm left up or left down. I think I'm kind of in the middle, which makes it very tricky. But even realizing that I am leaning left into that system, so I follow my own sort of inner inspiration and kind of desire rather than dressing for the situation that I'm going to be in, even that has been very, very freeing. And so that's why I would put this one in overthinking fuel, because if you do get typed, it's really useful, but if not, there's not that much that you can do with the system. The next system is something that I wasn't super familiar with, but a few of you have suggested it, so I have looked into that. And that is the Dressing Your Truth by Carol Tuttle. So this method is much more based on your personal energy, how you come across, what sort of vibe basically you're giving off quite naturally. So it's based on a quiz that you do, and then it's going to give you one of the 4 energy profiles. But at the same time, when I was looking at the recommendations, I felt like I have to do the entire program to learn a bit more about it. And also, I'm sorry to say that I felt like some of the recommendations were leaning a little bit older than I would like to personally dress. So I feel like for me personally, this system is fun, but it wasn't something that I personally found super applicable. The next one is something that I also know some of you have found me through, and that is the idea of capsule wardrobes. And capsule wardrobes can be very, very controversial because they don't work for every single person. And I think that if you have a very varied style, very creative style, you might find that just a simple capsule doesn't really work. Now, I think that doing a capsule wardrobe basically means that you're choosing a certain amount of pieces to work with for a certain amount of time, whether that is 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, any interval of time. And that sort of constraint, basically limiting the amount of pieces you're working with, can be a really useful thing to find your personal style, because you only have, let's say, 10 bottoms or 5 bottoms that you're operating with. And so it can help you to kind of clarify, do you actually like this kind of trousers? And if you do like them, how do you wear them? So it can help you to uncover your style formulas. It can help you to uncover what you feel really good in. And so it can be a useful tool. Now, the problem I see with capsule wardrobes is that there are so many misconceptions and rules that people follow when it comes to creating a capsule wardrobe. And the biggest one is probably about the number of pieces that you're allowed to have. So whether people follow Project 33 and they start overthinking, but can I have like 5 pairs of shoes, not 3 pairs of shoes because I'm going over the number? Or people feel like I can't have my statement piece because then it's not going to get worn and it's not as versatile. People just start to overthink that entire process of creating a capsule wardrobe. And especially if you're someone that wants to include color or pattern and just have maybe a slightly bigger capsule, it can make you feel like it's not for you. So I have come up with my own method that I think it's so much more practical than just giving you this number and that system. And I walk you through that method in this video. It's literally step by step and it's very detailed. So if you're someone that likes the idea of a capsule wardrobe, it will really, really help you to create one. But I think that a very traditional capsule wardrobe I would put in overthinking fuel, because I've seen a lot of people just struggle with how to make one. The next one is an interesting one because I don't think many people talk about how impactful creating a travel capsule can be for your personal style. If you're building a travel capsule, let's say for a 2-week holiday or for a 1-week work trip or anything like that, you're basically working with a much smaller amount of pieces. And so I think that making those decisions and building a travel capsule and then wearing the outfits and not necessarily having the option to change those outfits can really teach you a lot about your personal style. Now, I have to admit that it's not always a very pleasant experience, because sometimes I would realize that, oh gosh, I have only brought black, white, and gray in my capsule because it's versatile, right? It all works together. But then I'm missing color. But that actually taught me that I need to bring some accessories or something colorful in the capsule for me to feel good. Or if I've brought too much color on vacation because, we're in the sun, and then I wear those pieces and I'm like, actually, I don't like to wear that much color, even though I can in this weather. And so every single time you build a travel capsule and then use those outfits, it will help you to refine what you're missing, what you like, what is helpful, what really works. And so that's why for me, this method actually goes in the game changer category, even though it is not something that I see people recommend often for finding your personal style. Next one is something that I have seen many people talk about, and that is the wishlist method. The whole idea with the wishlist is that it allows you to put a bit of space and time between you seeing something and you buying something. And a lot of times it actually allows you to reconsider your purchases and prevent unnecessary spending. So I have found keeping a wish list, whether you do that on Pinterest, in your notes app, or a physical list, whatever you do, I think it's actually really useful, because you'll see that most of the time you put something on the wish list, and then if you haven't looked at that wish list for maybe 2-3 weeks, you open it and you're like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that kind of piece. And so I think that this is not only a great way to identify kind of necessary purchases, but it's also something that you might find helps you improve your style. And as an example of a successful wish list purchase for me is actually a pair of white boots, because I kept missing that in my outfit. So I put it on the wish list and it stayed there for a couple of months while I was trying to find a perfect pair. But once I managed to find it and cross it off my list, my outfits became significantly better and I learned something about my personal style. And that was that I like the color sandwich, white top with white boots with a darker bottom. So I would say the wish list is something that is worth doing. It's not an immediate win to find your personal style, so it does take time, but I think is a really useful tool. Coming to the next one, and that is copying influencer style, buying things from people's affiliate links and just kind of dressing like a certain influencer, celebrity, anyone that you follow online. Now, I think this is a very easy way to try and find your personal style because there's no thinking required. You just click buy, you order the pieces, and then you have an outfit from someone that you can copy. But why I don't like this method is that, number one, it can lead you to overspend. Number two, it can actually cause you to feel really bad about yourself because oftentimes influencers will have a different body type, different weight from you. And so it can make you feel bad about yourself because you're not looking as good, even though you're literally copy pasting the outfit. And so for me, that's not been a great experience. I also think that you can copy someone's style, but that is their style. And if you just take the outfit as a whole and you don't actually filter it through whether you like it, whether it suits you, whether it makes you happy, and you just kind of blankly copy paste that, it's not great for finding your personal style. It actually prevents you from finding your personal style because you end up looking like ex-influencer. So I would say that for me, this one we're gonna put in, it's a trap because it is something that I just don't think works. Okay, next one we have following fashion rules, and that can look in a variety of different shape or forms. So it might be petite ladies cannot wear long trousers or maxi skirts, or people with big busts shouldn't wear turtlenecks. Now, I think that those statements were created with the intention to help people dress better, but I think a lot of them are outdated and honestly quite limiting, because they ignore things like personal preference. For example, someone might really love wearing white, and so there's no rule that says that they can't wear it during half of the year. Or someone might be a petite person, but actually have the body structure to really pull off longer pieces like maxi skirts and longer trousers. And so it's not really a universal rule that just because you are petite, you can't wear this or that. So for me personally, this one is actually in the trap category. It's not something that I recommend following unless it's something that you personally agree with and it's helped you to refine your style. The next thing is something that I haven't seen super much recently, but it's still a way for people to kind of try and define their personal style. And that is following anti-trend lists or lists of outdated items that are no longer in style. And that can be both around colors that maybe are outdated, maybe about types of items like skinny jeans or round toe boots or whatever that is out of style. I think that for most people, it can actually create a sense of shame if you're someone that maybe still likes this kind of trousers. So skinny jeans is a prime example. I have clients and friends that love skinny jeans. They suit them really well. They look good on them. And so they're basically just feeling a bit guilty because they're like, do I look old-fashioned? Am I not modern because I like those? And I always say, like, no, because they suit you and you like them, right? So when it comes to personal style, that sort of you like them element is actually really important. So for me, I would say these are probably in the fun, but what's next? It's nice to read, it's fun to read, maybe fun to watch, but actually just take it with a grain of salt that if you like something and it's on that list, you can still wear it and nothing bad will happen. There's no fashion police. Next, we have another sort of rule-based system, and that is the whole idea of dressing for your age. So for example, if you're above 40, you can't wear skirts above your knee, or you have to wear more muted colors rather than brighter colors. So many rules that people have imposed on women above 30, 40, 50, 60. And I find the whole system just so limiting and so unreasonable. Because who says that you can't wear a mini skirt if you're above 40? If you like your legs, if you feel comfortable, just wear the damn skirt, right? And so that's why for me, this is a trap. And I definitely don't recommend dressing your age unless it's something that you truly want to follow. Next, we have a color system that isn't as popular as color analysis, but I have still seen people make videos about it and explore that system, and that is David Zeiler's Color Your Style system. So basically, David says that there are 8 colors that create your most natural color palette, and all of those colors are based on things like your veins, the lightest color, the darkest color in your hair, your lip color, like a lot of different kind of natural colors that you find in you. So in a way, it is a very personalized color palette, but I read the book and I tried to type myself And it was very, very hard because my eye is not very good at perceiving, is this green or is this blue, and kind of exactly what color this is. And even taking a photo and extracting the color wasn't giving me exactly what I wanted from the system. So I think the whole idea of having your dramatic color or your romantic color can be really powerful if you, for example, want to dress up for a date or you want to dress up for a work event. You can use the sort of idea of those colors. Finding the exact shades is probably only done by David himself, and from what I've read, it costs like $1,000 to get typed by him. And so this one, I would say, is probably in the overthinking fuel category because a lot of people struggle with finding their colors, but if you do have the budget, it might be helpful to have your custom color palette because it's going to work really well for you. The next system is something that I'm sure you're familiar with, and that is the fruit shapes for describing our bodies. So the apple shape, the pear shape, and all of that. Now, the only redeeming quality I think of this system is that it's quite easy. It has literally 5 body types, but at the same time, I think it is so incredibly limiting. And I know for myself, learning that I am a little bit more of a pear shape made me really dislike my body for quite a long amount of time. And I know for some of my clients that have been told they're an apple body type or an inverted triangle, it always makes you focus on your flaws because it tells you that basically the ideal is the hourglass and you have to balance your features. You have to basically fix something on your body. And I don't think this is great for self-perception and being kind to yourself. So for me, I think because it makes people dislike their body, I would put this in the it's a trap category. Okay, we're nearly there. So this one is something that I'm sure a lot of you are interested in, and that is the facial essences system. So first discovered by McJimsey, and then I would say Kitchener essences became more popular in the last couple of years. But there are a lot of different consultants that would try and type you as a mix of different essences. I am actually having my own analysis with Andrea Falmer very soon, so I'll talk about this on the channel. But the whole idea is that you have a mix of yin and yang features in your face, and those need to be kind of reflected in the way that you put outfits together. Now, if you're someone that knows their essences and has figured out how to use them to create outfits, I think that this system can be very powerful because it really helps you to harmonize who you are, your face, your body, with your outfit. The problem is that it is not easy to identify the essences, especially if you have a mix of maybe 3 or 4 different ones. And so if you have a mix of 3, there's like above 60 different combinations that you could be. And I think there's this whole idea of which type am I can lead to so much overthinking. If you look into Facebook groups or Reddit, it can be full of people just trying to type themselves or asking people to type them. And I did this myself in the sense of I posted a photo of myself on YouTube and ask people to tell me what essences do you see, and out of the 7 there's only 1 that didn't appear, but people would see all the other 6. And so I'm just wondering, how much truth is there? What is the objective truth? Is there such a thing as objective truth? And also, do I really care? Because sometimes if I like something, I would wear it even though it might not be the most perfect or the most suitable thing for me. So I think this one goes very firmly into overthinking fuel because it leaves people very confused most of the time. But if you have it professionally done and you get recommendations, it can actually be helpful. Okay, next we have the rule of thirds, and I wanted to put this separately from all the other rules and just it's based basically in making sure that the outfit is visually pleasing to the eye. So we have 1/3 on top, 2/3 on bottom, or 2/3 on top, 1/3 on bottom. So if you're someone that is trying to look classic, polished, put together, and that is your core desire, your style need, I think that the rule of thirds is actually really helpful. The only thing I would say is that there are a lot of people who don't care about looking flattering. That is not their goal, and they want to be expressive. They want to be comfortable. So I would say this one is quite difficult to place, but I'll probably say it's a trap because it can help you to create better outfits, but it won't actually teach you anything about finding your personal style, just how to create outfits that look more harmonious to the eye. Next, we have a system that I know a lot of you have probably experienced in or have tried to type yourself, and that is the Kibbe image ID system, or the Kibbe body type, however you want to call it. And it's basically a system that looks into your body structure, so the bones and how, let's say, those bones flow together to create your silhouette. So I think that this system is a primary example of overthinking fuel. Because if you're someone that falls neatly into one of the types and you find what type that is, then the recommendations that you might get from Kibbe, from his old book, or just from a lot of the different people that talk about Kibbe can be very useful. The problem is that a lot of people don't fall neatly into one of the 10 types. There is kind of a mixture between types, and that creates so much confusion. And I've been there. I know a lot of you have been there. So I would say it's in the overthinking field, just like with essences. Next, we have a system that is kind of a variation, I would say, or build upon the Kibbe system, and that is Ellie Jean's body matrix system that looks into 3 different components, basically width, length, and shape. And it aims to identify where your body falls into each of those groups. So you have, let's say for width, you have narrow, medium, and wide, or you have short, medium, and long, and so on. And so because you have 3 dimensions, you actually have 27 different body matrix types. Now, it took me a while to fully grasp the system of Ellie Jean, so it's definitely not something that I feel is easy to be objective on, but I've started using it with my clients in my last couple of sessions, and I think it's a game changer when you grasp it. Because it is more nuanced than Kibbe, as I said, 27 different types, and that allows people that are maybe in between different Kibbe body types to actually find where they sit and to get very practical recommendations for necklines, type of trousers, skirts, hemlines, accessories, patterns, all of that, that are going to look very harmonious on them. So I would say that this one, because it is not easy to see yourself objectively, and you'll probably require a consultant or someone to actually do this for you to be a little bit more objective, I would say is in the it's worth it category. So I provide a service. If you're looking to do that, you can try to self-type using Ellie Jean's book. But I think that if you figure out what your body matrix type is, it is more useful and more practical than Kibbe image IDs. And last but not least, I would put here hiring a stylist or a style consultant to help you shop better, create better outfits, figure out your body type, your coloring, just anything that helps you to find your personal style. Now, of course, hiring someone usually comes with some costs, and that can be from very small amounts to very, very large amounts. But what you gain from having another person is actually objectivity, because that person isn't in your body. They don't have the same, perhaps, limitations or body hang-ups because they haven't lived in your body for 20, 30, 40 years. And so they're going to be able to see you in a much more neutral way than you see yourself. And as I said, I've seen that with so many of my clients. I'm able to refine their style words or style roots or to figure out their body type because I am not them. And so because of that added objectivity of your style consultant, you can oftentimes get better results that are going to lead you to better shopping and just dressing in a more confident way. And so this is something that I'll probably put in the it's worth it category. It does require an investment, but the outcomes that you get out of it are really, really useful. And by the way, if you're someone that wants to be typed by me in terms of the body matrix, or you want me to help you find your style roots and style words, check out the style strategy session below, because this is exactly what I do with my clients. And let me know if you agree or disagree with that ranking. I would love to hear your thoughts. And I'll leave you with this playlist for finding your personal style, where you're going to find a lot of the videos that I mentioned today. I'll see you in the next one.